bei Duft den neuen Song aus dem Sägezahnzyklus und all diejenigen, die schon gegessen haben und ihre Meitlinge trinken, rumduckeln, sollten endlich mal ihre Nase bewegen und auch die Tanzfläche bewegen. Und nun geht es los.
You are listening to Das Bundesliga show here on the Lock Betting podcast. You can follow the Lock Betting Twitter account at lockbetting.com. That's at lockbetting.com. The P&L for the previous month at lockbetting.com is always the pinned tweet on the at lockbetting.com Twitter account. So you can see what we did for the month of December. And that is the spreadsheet that features all of our World Cup futures. If you want, you can sign up for January. We are over halfway through the month, but we still have plenty of content to come. We have the second week of the Australian Open with upsets galore in week one. We have the end of the NFL season. We have domestic soccer every weekend and in midweek as well. And of course, we have WWE Royal Rumble with a UFC card and a boxing card this weekend as well. So if you want to get involved, head over to lockbetting.com to sign up for the service. Apologies, that boxing card is next weekend. The UFC card is this weekend. So moving on with the resumption of the Bundesliga, there will be a separate futures show released. We'll wait for the game between RB Leipzig and Bayern Munich to conclude before we put out that futures card. It does look very much like Bayern Munich are going to win the title again unless they have a massive collapse in the second half of the season. The first half of the season, Bayern Munich weren't even at their best, and still as the season resumes, they are the 1-20 favourites to win the title once again. Now, we have seen a poor start after the resumption from several top teams after the World Cup. We've seen Paris Saint-Germain come back from the World Cup and start poorly. We've seen Real Madrid come back from the World Cup and start poorly. And we've seen it in the EPL from both Liverpool and Manchester City by Manchester City's standards, of course. So there is a precedent for it. And perhaps if RB Leipzig can get a positive result against Bayern Munich tonight, and that means, of course, RB Leipzig winning, because I don't think Bayern Munich would consider a draw away to RB Leipzig a terrible result. That will possibly set up a title race for the second half of the season. But I think we are reaching a little bit. Me personally, I cannot see past Bayern. Bayern tonight are the 5-6 favourites to win in Leipzig. It's 3-1 on the draw, and it's also 3-1 on Leipzig. I think it's clear that Bayern Munich will win the league. But I also think there's something to be said about the fact that PSG, Real Madrid, Manchester City and Liverpool have all started the season poorly. And that will give RB Leipzig a chance in this game. RB Leipzig is a difficult place to go to. They are a strong home team. And of course, they are a Champions League team as well. They are one of the stronger teams in Germany this season. Both of these teams coming to this having won 6 straight. So they both have previous form prior to the World Cup. For me, the easiest way to play this would be to take the goals. Now, both teams to score is a juice selection. Over 2.5 goals is a juice selection. So I think putting them together would be the most sensible thing. Both teams to score with the over 2.5 goals added to it is available at the price of 7-10. Both Leipzig and Bayern Munich are enjoying strong form, as I said, coming into this. And I think the goals market is the safer play for that reason. Leipzig are unbeaten across their last 13 competitive fixtures, winning 11 and drawing 2. Bayern Munich have scored at least twice in each of their last 8 Bundesliga matches, and no side has stopped RB Leipzig scoring in a competitive home game all season. In fact, that run dates back to March 2022, so nearly a year, so 10 months so far since RB Leipzig didn't score at home. So they will score here against Bayern, and Bayern will score as well. I think there's enough data to say that this will go over 2.5 goals. So rather than picking a winner, and I want it to be known that I do think that Leipzig are a live dog here, and I certainly think they're capable of winning a defeat, I think goals is the most sensible play. So over 2.5 goals and both teams to score will be my selection for this one. And putting those two selections together gives you the price of 7-10 for this Friday night blockbuster, the opening game of the Bundesliga relaunch post-World Cup. And we're looking for plenty of goals and entertainment here in this one. Up next, we move across to Saturday, and we look at a game here between Union Berlin and 1899 Hoffenheim. Both of these teams had decent starts to the season, and both of these teams faded as we approached the World Cup. Union Berlin were actually top for quite a while. They are the 5-4 favourites to win this one. It's 12-5 on the draw, and it's 21-10 here on Hoffenheim. For a while, Union Berlin were massively overperforming their expected goals tally, and as far as the chances they were giving up, they were not finding their way into the back of the net. So they were very much overperforming their metrics. Obviously, there was a little bit of a dip, and as we covered this game, it certainly looks like a game that will produce some goals. Union Berlin actually haven't lost any of their last 4 matches against Hoffenheim. However, they are without a clean sheet in their last 6 matches against Hoffenheim, and Hoffenheim are without a clean sheet in their last 4 against Union Berlin. So that's strong data for both teams to score here in this game. You can also add the fact that both teams have actually scored in 4 of the last 5 meetings between the two teams, with over 2.5 goals cashing in 4 of the last 5 as well. As for the form coming in, Union Berlin have actually won their last 5 matches, but are without a clean sheet in their last 4. But this Hoffenheim team, they're without a clean sheet in their last 12 games, with over 2.5 goals cashing in 9 of the last 9 matches to feature Hoffenheim, and with both teams scoring in 10 out of the last 10 matches to feature Hoffenheim. Now, Union Berlin also have strong data. Both teams have scored in 6 of their last 7, and over 2.5 goals is cashed in 7 of the last 8. So this is a game that certainly looks like it will feature some goals. Hoffenheim are almost automatic selection for overs at the moment. So it's very surprising to me to see the over 2.5 goals here at 10-11, the same price for under 2.5 goals, whilst we also get both teams to score at the price of 7-10. You could go either way here with these selections. I'll take the over because it's at a better price. And as I said, this is a selection that has cashed in 9 of the last 9 games to feature Hoffenheim, with both teams scoring in 10 of the last 10. It is a selection that has cashed in 7 of Union Berlin's last 8 and in 4 of the last 5 head-to-head matches between the two teams. So we'll ride that here at the nice price of 10-11, minus 110 here for this one. Up next, we'll jump across to the late kickoff, and we'll look at the 5:30 game here between Cologne and Werder Bremen, where Cologne are the 6-5 favourites. It's 13-5 here on the draw, and it's 2-1 here on Werder Bremen. I think both teams to score again for me is the standout play here. It's a little bit juiced at 4-6, but the data to support it is relatively strong. Werder Bremen have conceded 27 goals already in the Bundesliga this season, and only 3 teams have conceded more. And both teams have scored in 5 of Bremen's 7 league away matches so far this season. Both teams have found a net in 5 of Cologne's last 6 competitive home games. Both of these two teams play attacking football. You would not want to rely on any of them to keep a clean sheet for you. And I just think ultimately I don't see a clean sheet here for either one of these two sides. Both teams to score is juiced at 4-6 minus 150, but both teams to score is definitely the right selection here for this game. The late kickoff between Cologne and Werder Bremen, 5:30 on Saturday UK time. Up next, we jump across to Sunday, and we look at Borussia Dortmund. They are at home to Augsburg. Borussia Dortmund are the 1-3 favourites here in this spot. It's 19-4 on the draw, and it's 17-2 here on Augsburg. Borussia Dortmund need to get going here if they want to have any chance of putting any pressure on Bayern Munich. Ultimately, a realistic ambition for both Leipzig and Dortmund would be to finish above each other and to get second place in the league. And at the moment, Dortmund are the 10-3 underdogs to do that, with Leipzig as the 10-11 favourites. So Dortmund have a little bit of work to do here. They can start by winning this home game against Augsburg, and I think that they will. I think they'll cover the Asian handicap as well. Borussia Dortmund minus 1.5 is an even money selection here for this game. Dortmund will definitely be boosted by the return of an out-and-out goal-scoring striker. They now have Sebastian Haller. He was supposed to be the replacement for Erling Haaland, but he was recovering from cancer. He had testicular cancer, so he could not start the season. But he has not only recovered from that, but he has delivered some very eye-catching and goal-scoring performances during the winter break in Germany. So I feel with him at the helm, Dortmund will be confident, they'll be boosted, they'll be buoyed, and I think they'll start well here in their resumption fixture and try to set a tone for the rest of the season as they look for an improved second half of the season. Augsburg here are a poor opponent. They are relegation threatened. They are enduring the Bundesliga's longest current winless run with 3 draws and 4 losses in their last 7. And Dortmund are unbeaten in 6 of their 7 home league games this season. So they've always been strong at home. Yes, they are susceptible to some silly results at times, but when they do win, they tend to win well. And we will take that handicap here with Dortmund at the price of even money for Dortmund to cover the minus 1.5 Asian handicap line here in this one. The last game I want to cover is the final game on Sunday. It could be the game of the week in any other week that did not feature RB Leipzig and Bayern Munich in the same week. It is the game between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen have massively underperformed in the first half of the season. They were very, very much expected to be in the Champions League conversation and not the relegation conversation this season. And I think the price of 10-1 for them to finish in the top 4 says it all about the way that they've started the season. So they'll be looking for a positive start here. They'll be looking for a reset. Borussia Mönchengladbach, they've also been disappointing as well. They started well, but they certainly dropped off. They are the 17-10 underdogs here with 13-5 on the draw and the 6-4 price available here on Bayer Leverkusen. And this is a game that usually delivers goals, and once again, that will be the safest thing to go with. Both teams to score is too juiced, as is the over 2.5 goals. We're sort of starting and finishing with the same analysis when we're talking about the over being too juiced for the first game between Leipzig and Dortmund, and both teams score being too juiced, and putting it together. But we'll do the same thing here. We do get a better price of 10-11, and that's definitely the right way to go. Both these teams have had disappointing starts. Both these teams can't defend, but at the same time, both of these teams could attack, and that could be a good recipe for a high-scoring encounter. Each of Gladbach's last 9 games have seen both teams to score along with the over 2.5 goal selection cash. Each of Gladbach's last 4 home league games saw at least 4 goals scored, whilst Leverkusen's league games have averaged 3.4 goals per game so far this season. So this certainly has the recipe for goals and plenty of them. And we will take the over 2.5 goals and we will tack it on with the both teams to score here. Putting those 2 selections together, as I said, gives you the price of 10-11. And that's what we'll take here for this one. Closing out with your lock on the show. I'm torn really between game 1 and the final game that we covered, where we took the same selection for both. I think we'll stick with the opener. I find it very, very difficult to see either Leipzig or Bayern Munich keeping a clean sheet against each other. And I feel that we will get goals here. I think we'll get them at both ends, and I think we'll go over 2.5 goals. It is only available at 7-10, so quite a short price for that selection. But ultimately, you have the data, you have the players, and you have everything there to suggest that it will be a selection that cashes. That's it for me. Good luck with all your bets as always, and thanks for listening.